Allison is the founder and CEO of Arey Gray, the wrinkle cream of hair care. It's the first functional beauty brand to target aging hair with a proactive, science-driven approach. Slow and repigment gray hair with added benefits of thicker, fuller, and healthier strands. I signed up a few months ago and I'm loving every single thing they make. From shampoo, conditioner, leave-in conditioner, volume spray, vitamins, it's pretty incredible. She started her entrepreneurial journey when she started a side hustle fashion brand online in the early 2000s. After 3 startups, this isn't her first rodeo, so she has this one in the bag. Hope you enjoy this week's episode of Kicking It with Kristy. I have so many questions. I just ordered over the weekend. I got a 3-month pack, so I could do it. And then I really wanted to get it for my husband because he has like this like legit fear of going gray. And it's so funny because I definitely I've started to go a little gray. And I used to cover with henna and then my hair turned orange and then it just got too exhausting for me to do it. But he's going gray in his beard and it's so funny because that's where it starts. There's no alternative. Exactly. So I was like, oh my gosh, preventative. Right. So I got it as a Christmas gift.
Oh my God, that's so cute. Well, my husband has been taking it religiously for the last, I think now almost 2.5 years. And he had 40 gray hairs and it's pretty much stayed at that.
No
but
way.
His hair is amazing. It's so thick and full and he's borderline thinks he should be a hair model. I'm like, oh my God, get over yourself. I've created a monster. He's so suave about his hair. But it's so interesting because most people think that the brand is just for women. And it's not. It's about 35% of our customers are male because men care about going gray.
Well, they do. And it's I guess I really never thought of it that way. Because I wasn't really concerned about it. And then he became concerned about it. And I was like, should I be concerned about it?
I know. That's good that you didn't feel that pressure because, societally, it is obviously less acceptable for women to go gray, unfortunately, than men. So men have a little bit of tolerance for salt and pepper. My business partner is a hairstylist, so he's intimately familiar with all psychodynamics of going gray. But it's women, it's the 0 to 5-10% is sort of the tolerance level, and then they go to hair dye. With men, it's okay, I can be a little salt and pepper and distinguished looking, but they don't want to go full Anderson Cooper. So they're how do I control this at this level? So it's very fascinating.
Kick this off with a quote. And it's really pertaining to the hair industry, which is what we're going to be speaking about. It doesn't matter if your life is perfect as long as your hair color is. Right? And I saw that somewhere, and I actually don't know who said it. But it's so crazy, but it's so true. So many people live by this. And the global hair color industry, I think, you would know this, but $35 billion in global hair and scalp categories, $80 billion. It's amazing how much we kind of take our self-worth from your hair. You have a bad hair day, you have a bad day. You go gray and all you can think about is you're aging, you're getting older. So what happens to you when you hear that quote?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny to me. It makes me a bit sad because I'm oh God, if that's what defines people. I think, listen, obviously hair is very important to people, and it was a personal journey, and why we started this company was when I started going gray. But I also think it's so fascinating that there are so many products for skincare that relate to aging, but barely anything for hair care aging, right? It's just cover up. It's a reactive focus in hair care a lot. It's you have dry hair, you fix it with this. You have, coarse hair, you fix it with it. You have wavy hair, you want to make it straight. It's why are we approaching that so reactively? Whereas now skincare is so much more proactive and looking at you use wrinkle cream, not when you have wrinkles, but but before you get wrinkles. And you have this like 25-step routine for skincare, and with hair care, it's like maybe 2 steps. It's like so bizarre to me. So I think it's changing and it's evolving, which is exciting. But also, so many people do feel self-conscious and not confident with their hair because there hasn't really been great products to use for hair, especially as we age. And so we're trying to, of course, tackle the gray issue. And by the way, we're not anti-gray. Like, that's what people are always like, oh, like, are you? And we're like, no, we actually hope that people are more accepting of gray hair in the future. The younger generations will see it less as this curse, but sort of this message from the body. But yeah, we're trying to reapproach hair care and in a way that affects every element of aging hair. So you do go gray. You also, a lot of people shed and lose hair. Your hair gets coarser. It gets drier. It's like it goes through all these changes that nobody has really addressed until us.
I can't wait to dive into that because there's, and you're so right, by the way, like it's kind of like taking a prenatal vitamin, but before you're actually pregnant. Right. And no one really ever thought of that. It's like, no, we take it while we're pregnant. It's like, no, you actually, apparently you're supposed to be taking them like 2 years before you would like to get pregnant. Right. It's kind of the same thing with preventative, skincare, which I don't think anyone realizes until you see that, like, first wrinkle or first whatever spot. I don't know. Yes. But the same thing with gray hair. But no one's really thought about, kind of taking that preventative measure like you all are. And then also there's so much kind of science behind why do you go gray? So why does one go gray and faster than the other? I mean, what's the science behind all of this?
Yeah, so that was the first thing we did. The story really is, Jay is my business partner. He's been my hairstylist for almost 9 years. And I saw gray hair and I went to him and was like, what do I do? I want to get on top of this. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, you wait until you're gray enough and then you dye your hair. And I was like, really? Like, there's nothing. So the first thing we did was dig into why we go gray, right? So I assumed it was mostly genetics. My mom has almost a complete white head of hair, which, side note, I called her out when I was 5 years old at preschool pickup and was like, why are you the only mom with gray hair? And she went the next day and dyed her hair. So it's been urban, like, not myth because it's true, but this like legend within my family of me basically like changing my mom's hair trajectory. And now full circle, she's involved in the company. She's a dietitian. She's helping out. But anyway, so we found that there's only one, scientists have identified one gene that causes gray hair. They've identified up to 286 genes that cause hair loss. So going gray is less to do with genetics than hair loss. So we have more control over it than we think. So 70% is, lifestyle, diet, obviously natural aging. Like there's factors, and nobody's really determined like how much of each of that 70% is, diet, lifestyle, what have you. But we're like, okay, we can tackle the diet section part of it first, right? Like, let's put into the supplement these nutrients, these antioxidants that people are lacking when they start going gray and seeing gray hair. So that's how it all started, was with the supplement.
Okay. What about that's what I'm like thinking about my own hair, like history where, it falls out and it's still like falling out and then going gray. And you're so right. I think that there's like the physical and the emotional stress of just life now kind of contribute to going gray more so than they contribute to your hair falling out, I think. But
nobody's been able. Nobody's really been able to scientifically prove this. So we know anecdotally that, you see Obama before the presidency and then you see him after. It's like, okay, we all sort of have these experiences with stress and see more gray hair, but it's a very hard thing to do like a clinical or even a consumer study on, because your level of stress 10 might be my level of stress 3. It's like, it's such a hard thing to quantify.
So true. We all like metabolize stress very differently.
It's so hard.
It's so true.
Right.
That's crazy. Right. So what is oxidative stress and how does that contribute to going gray?
Yes, that was the other area that we really dive deep into. And so oxidative stress is really just a buildup of or overproduction of reactive oxygen species. They're called ROS, or free radicals is what most people know them as, right? And so free radicals they're not terrible, like they're a part of our bodily function. And under normal circumstances, we can metabolize them and deal with this oxygen buildup. But when you're overexposed to it and your body can't produce enough antioxidants, that's what we're dealing with, of like replacing and adding antioxidants into the body. So it's all balance, right? Like everything in life, it's like, how do you balance these factors? And so the oxidative stress that we focus on is UV exposure. So we have a UV protectant spray. People use obviously sunscreen all the time for their skin, and we're talking more about like the scalp, like your head, the hair is dead, and you can actually the spray actually helps with keeping hair color in. So there is this reaction with hair color with UV exposure. But pollution is another factor. Smoking is terrible for gray hair, which I'm like, oh my gosh, if the campaign of you're going to get cancer from smoking isn't working, like maybe we should focus on gray hair. Like nobody wants to get that.
100%. It's so bizarre how like your mind is wired. What about water? Have you heard, like, you know, I know that and I have one of these on my shower head, but it takes out all the chemicals in the water. Ironically, I haven't switched this filter in like 2 years, so it's doing. I know.
I was just thinking I need to replace mine.
Yes. But is that helpful? I mean, I've heard that, you know, the harshness of water and the chemicals to your hair can really dry it up.
Yes, I think it is. I've seen it personally be very helpful when I installed that filter, and there's so many that you can choose from now with that. But yes, I think there's so many chemical exposures that we don't even realize we're doing, right? So people notice they go gray a lot in the front area rather than like the back of the head. And we don't know for sure, but we think it's because of all these different chemicals from your skin, your sunscreen, your skin creams, everything, your hair. Like that's what's getting the most exposure to these chemicals. And so I think there's a lot that needs to be still researched and investigated. Like it's a bit of a gray area, sort of pun intended. But you know, there's only been 2 clinical studies since 1940 done on gray hair, and 2 done in 1940.
Oh my gosh, no way. Accident. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's so under researched. And so you know, we're running our clinical study right now, so we're really excited when that comes out to be like the most comprehensive clinical study that's ever been done on gray hair. So that's our goal, is to always be at the forefront of the science and the research for gray hair.
Whoa. Okay. I'm excited to see what that looks like. And then can you explain the hair growth cycles? Because, you know, as someone who's had 3 babies, I swear I've never recovered from, I just have less hair. And I think that's clearly part of stress, part of hormones, part of genetics, part of everything. But I'm excited to kind of hear your side of things, because, you know, when you're brushing your hair, you're taking a shower, even if you're blow drying your hair, which I rarely do. There is so much hair everywhere. Like, and what is normal and what's not normal? Can you explain that growth cycle process? Yes.
I'll do my best. Jay would be much better at this because he's so much more familiar with that as a hairstylist. But essentially, right now we have around a half an inch of growth under your skin of your hair, right? Okay. So like people are always saying, why does it take 2 to 3 months to see results from our product? It's because you have to wait for that part to grow out that hasn't been affected by any of our ingredients. And then you have to wait for the next month is another half inch. So your hair grows about a half an inch a month. And we have on average 100,000 hairs on our head at any time. Obviously, it differs person to person, but that's on average. And we're supposed to lose around 25 to 50 hairs a day, which is actually a pretty decent amount of hair. So for folks like myself, I wash my hair every 3 days. It's really not good to wash your hair every day. So if you don't wash your hair every day, you're not really like, cleaning it and brushing it and going through it. So when I shower, I gather like a small animal with the amount of hair because I have very long hair. Yeah. Sometimes I accidentally leave it and my husband's like, what is on the show?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's totally normal. And so people, like, you don't freak out about having some hair in your drain and like seeing hairs. I mean, obviously the longer it is, it looks like it's more hair. But your hair goes through these different cycles, right? And so you have to sort of, it's like the anagen phase. There's all these different phases of hair growth, which you can see on our website. Our How It Works page explains it all. But you could have right now, like I have hair on my head it's 7 years old, right? So it's like a very long cycle that the hair goes through. And so we're just trying to perpetuate cell growth and grow better hair. We do see that, it was not a focus of the brand, but we saw that the product helps with thicker, fuller hair. Again, this will be quantified more in the clinical study. But it's just amazing to see that, you can grow healthier hair by adding these nutrients and ingredients into your diet and then also topically putting them on. So we have our, we call it the Arey complex, but it's our patent pending complex of antioxidants and a clinically effective peptide. And so we're just trying to get as much of these effective ingredients onto your scalp and in your body to grow better hair.
Are you guys the one, like, who did you start the gray kind of supplement or anti-gray supplement, if you will? Because I know other companies have been out for a while, want people who are experiencing hair loss or they want thicker hair. But are you all the one kind of creating this category around preventative grayness? Yeah. Is that even a word? Grayness?
Yes.
Is it?
Sounds
okay.
good.
But yes. But yeah, yes. Are you all leading this movement or leading this charge?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that is always going to be our focus, right? So that is why we will be the best at it, and we hope to continue to be the best at it. It's not like a tertiary focus for us. This is our sole focus, is gray and aging hair. And so it's always adding new ingredients. We have a new ingredient added to our serum coming out in January. And so it's just getting better and better. And we're trying to really combine the science with style. And so we're making products that are not just like we don't want to be like a chore. We don't want to add to your routine and make it frustrating. We want it to be an enjoyable experience. And so, our serum adds volume. And so you immediately are like, oh, my hair looks better just from a styling perspective. And I'm getting all these great ingredients on my scalp. And so we're launching a dry shampoo in January coming up. And so that's meant to use, like I said, don't wash your hair every day. And so use this in between washing your hair and it adds volume and can get rid of grease. And then it has these dehydrated actives. So we're always trying to think of how do we make products that people really love using and will continue to use, because you do have to use it consistently to see results.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like when I open up my vitamin drawer and I have 100 bottles at different stages of my life, right? But you have to take them every day or you're not doing yourself any favors. So it's kind of the same thing. So how did we as a society get here? Like, before gray was just part of life, you went gray. But how do you think we got here from why is our culture so fascinated and obsessed with going gray? Same thing with wrinkles.
I know.
But going gray, like what are your thoughts? And it's kind of fascinating because, you have in-home dyeing and you have in salon dyeing and depending on what you get done, I mean, these are toxic chemicals that you're willingly putting on your body from a beauty standpoint. And I have to admit, I mean, I was very anti all of them, very clean skincare line. And I started using henna and it worked actually for a long time, but it's such a pain in the ass. Like it really is. Yeah. It's like a 4-hour commitment. And then I was too worried about going to the salon. And then I think it was, what was it, like 2 months ago? Not even. I was like, F this. Like, I'm just going to get my grays covered. And it's really not even that bad. It's like a streak.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm just going to go do it. I'm 42. Like, I need to figure this out. So I went and they did balayage and, is that how you pronounce that?
Balayage,
and, balayage. But it's expensive. It's time consuming. You have to, now you're kind of in a habit of touching up on those grays. And it's interesting when everyone kind of hibernated during COVID, you could see like everyone start growing their roots out. But what are the pros and cons to doing, and I know this is probably Jay's realm, but just from your perspective, like, in-home versus salon, and then, what are your thoughts? Because it really is a toxic category.
I know, it's
unfortunately.
Yes, very unfortunately. And that's another big reason of why we exist. So around the time that I was doing this research of what causes gray and, what are the options for gray, my dad, who's a doctor and he oversees clinical studies, mostly cancer studies, he came across this article from the NIH in 2019 linking increased risk of cancer with at-home hair dye use. And the reason at home is sort of the worst of the two options is because they have to create this developer. The developer is really the issue with hair dye. And to create a developer that's strong enough to get, my hair a certain color, a blonde person's hair a certain color, everybody's hair color, this certain color on the box, you have to have a very strong developer. And then on top of that, you're in a closed area, you're in a small bathroom. You potentially are getting it on your hands. If you don't use the gloves, you're putting it all over your scalp. You're probably leaving it on for too long. There's so many factors that are just not
controllable. The scalp's interesting because even when she was doing it, she wasn't getting it on the scalp.
Great.
Whereas for henna, I was like, getting it all in there. So
it's terrible. So if you can, so the reason, and Jay is like, people need to just be educated on this and understand why it's so much more expensive, but potentially healthier with a hairstylist is they can do precision also. So it's not covering every single strand of your hair. It actually is oxidative stress. So if you dye your hair, you're going to get more gray hair from dyeing those hairs around it that don't need to be dyed. And they can do it so it doesn't do the scalp. You can use the foils even to protect your scalp from not getting the hair color. And then it's this developer. They can more precisely get a less strong developer in there and create the color. So again, we're not here to like vilify the hair dye industry. We're not saying don't ever dye your hair. It's like people need to have choices and they need to feel informed and educated and make educated decisions. Not everybody does everything that's so healthy for themselves, right? Like
you can't. It's impossible. I mean, even running a food company, it's like I have to make some decisions in my own lifestyle and choices. And there are a ton of natural hair care companies out there that you can do in home, and of course henna. But it is kind of fascinating. You're right. Like I do think that when you go to a salon, you have an expert, a trained expert working on your hair.
Yes, and not to mention it looks so much better. I mean, I'm obsessed with looking at people's hair at this point, and there's so many people where I'm just like, oh, you would look so much better not dyeing your hair. You know what I mean? Like it just looks so fake and bad, especially with men too. And it's like, I wish, to your point, like I hope that we embrace it more moving forward as a society. It's like it's not this horrible thing that we need to immediately cover up. And then what we've seen we have like two groups of customers. We have the customers that currently dye their hair, but don't love that it's every 3 to 4 weeks. And so we're able to extend the amount of time between dyeing. If you have 30% or less gray hair is the ideal to start taking Arey. And so you don't have a ton of gray hair. And so you're able to extend those appointment times and you can dye less amounts of your hair. And so I love when we get reviews coming in where somebody's like, oh my God, I got a calendar alert that said I needed to get my hair dyed, but I didn't need to get my hair dyed. Like I can go longer. It was amazing. So those are the types of things.
That's incredible.
That's like the later stage, like people who already are experiencing some gray. And then the younger consumers who we really want to talk to of like, before you get on that bandwagon, choose this alternative option and slow the process and have some more control over it. And it's just a cleaner, better option.
Do you, like, outside of that moment with, talking to your dad and when you were 5 years old, calling your mom out on gray hair, and how did you get here? Like, what's your background like? And just as a mom, and how do you have one kid?
I have two kids.
Two kiddos. What has this journey been like for you?
Yeah. it's been a long journey. I'm 41 years old. This is not my first rodeo. This is the third startup of my own, and then the 12th startup that I've been involved in. And so this has been a long journey. And a lot of the times people kept saying to me, I was running other people's brands for a very long time. I did go to Stanford Business School, so that kind of helped in the education of entrepreneurship, although I think entrepreneurship is also just really learned.
But it is learned. Right. Someone asked me the other day, like, I think I was doing an interview last night or Sunday. Was yesterday Sunday? I can't even remember.
Yes.
And my kids are downstairs eating and everything's going crazy. I'm up in my attic and I hear everything. And this woman is so sweet, but she's like, where did you get your MBA? And I was like, sad, like, no, but I wish I had. MBA of life. Yeah. Well, I wish I had, because I will say, not knowing anything about business, a P&L, EBITDA, anything truly, like, it really is kind of a crazy learning curve there. But I love, this is my first and only startup for 12 years. So I've been through the freaking ringer and back. But God. I will say, I envy that you've been involved with 3 different companies. Like, what did you learn from that? What did you, what was, when shit hit the fan, like, how did you evolve into this seat? Because, all of those experiences help you grow and evolve into a better entrepreneur.
Oh, totally. So, I mean, I couldn't have done what I did with this company had I not had all those experiences. So, I mean, I think you learn from mistakes and you learn from what not to do. So in building this brand, we were very conscious to have, high margins, repeat business, like strong unit economics, because we weren't going to be able to raise money. We weren't going to be able to build a big brand if we didn't have those foundational things set in place from the beginning. And I would have not really done that had I not understood that and been involved in a lot of online businesses. And then, I think a lot of it is this like network, but of people, and it's Stanford network, of course, but it's also just the network of working for so many years. So when we set out to do our supplement, we were able to work with one of the top supplement manufacturers in the US who does not take startups, but was like, okay, we had a connection. We got their information. They were like, we really believe in what you're doing. We'll take a chance on you. Same with our manufacturer for our topical products. They're one of the top green manufacturers in California. Would have never taken us on except for we had a connection and we had this idea that was very different and novel and interesting. And it's a huge market. Everybody pretty much goes gray. So everybody is affected by this.
Everyone's like, I'm on board.
So it was such a, I say it was lucky, but it's luck, but it's also having that experience and having people be like, okay, this woman has done these things before. We can trust that she is going to do this relatively well. Hopefully, time will tell. But I think there's so many things that you learn. And we have this like mythic idea of this entrepreneur being like a 22-year-old dropout from Harvard. I mean, obviously that has been successful in the past, and that sure, that can work. But I think there's so many people who have all this experience and can run really amazing companies because they know what to do and know what not to do.
Well, especially as you grow as a human being, like you evolve so much over. I mean, I'm a different person than I was when I was 30 and started this. Like you've been through the ringer. You learn so much of what not to do and how to set your company up for success. And we didn't even understand gross margin or product margin, or like we were like, we just got to sell it for this price, right? Like you don't know anything. That sounds good. We need to be this price in the marketplace, which is the kiss of death, right? So when you're starting a new company, knowing all of that, you have such a leg up because of all the mistakes that you've made. And when we first met, God, I feel like we met like seriously 30 years ago.
Oh my God. Pre-pandemic.
I know. Were you doing this when we met, or were you doing something else?
So I was advising companies. So I had been working in venture for a little bit, and then I was taking time to basically be an on board of advisors of companies that I thought were really interesting and really doing really cool things. And so it was this unique moment in my life where I could kind of take a step back and help other people while thinking about my next steps of like, do I want to launch my own business? And I kept saying, I'm not an ideas person. I'm an executor. I don't have any ideas. Like I'm not that creative. And then now I'm realizing like, oh, maybe I am pretty creative. And like, I actually did have a good idea. I think, and any entrepreneur, you have to be creative. Like there's no way not to be creative in what this, you have so many hats and jobs and things that you're doing. And you're literally creating something out of nothing. So that's the most creative thing you can be doing. But yeah, so it was a really fun moment. And then COVID actually was really beneficial for us because we got the team together. And when I say team, I was like 3 people. We're a very small team. But in 2020, we all sat down, and Jay, it was the only time in his life that he could step away from doing people's hair because he couldn't physically see people for a couple of months. Wow, and so we were like, wow, this is sort of serendipity. Like, let's take this opportunity and do this. And then his wife, Amy, is our head of all things creative. And so it's just like, as you can tell from this, it's a very family affair. It's like a lot of people involved in this business who just really are set up for success, already had a lot of experience, but personally feel so passionate about this problem and this thing that we're trying to solve. So.
Yeah, no, the passion definitely comes through. And when you are so small, I mean, you take anyone who's passionate about what you're building and you hire them, because like that's what you're going to kind of stand on, is the passion generating the early stages of the business. It's all passion. What was the first startup that you did, and why did you do it? And did it work or did it not work? And what did you learn from that?
Oh my God. My first startup was a fashion startup. So I was working for Martha Stewart right out of college, and then I started working at Coach in their corporate offices. And then on the side, I had this skirt business. So I was taking interior design fabric, and my mom taught me to sew.
Oh my gosh,
one
I love
break
this so
during
much.
college. Yeah. And so I created these skirts. I was just sewing it myself, and I was walking around New York, and somebody was like, "Oh, hey, where did you get that skirt?" I'm like, well, I made it. And she's like, Can you make me one? I was like, oh, yeah, sure, I guess so. And then this was like 2003, so like early beginnings of the internet, right? And so I'm like, I'll just start a website. My roommate created websites, so she helped me. And my family was like, what are you doing? They're all medical and scientific people. So they're like, just keep your day job. Like, that is all that we know. They were very supportive, but it was sort of like, this was before side hustle was even a thing, right? Yeah. Like, this was a pretty risky thing to do. But in that experience, I met Andy Dunn from Bonobos, and that sort of helped me then go to Stanford. And so it was like this perpetual events that led me to where I am. But it was a really fun thing to do. And I didn't make anything until I got orders. So I never held inventory, which was pretty novel back then. Yeah. I was on Daily Candy, so that helped in terms of,
oh my gosh, I was on PR. You know what's so funny? Did we cross paths there at Daily Candy?
Maybe. I don't know.
Because well, this is so odd because I kind of remember loving this company that you're talking about, because I love patterns. Like, I love fabric. I'm such a fabric nerd.
Yes.
And I just remember seeing this and being like, whoa. And then I started, no one knows about this actually. It was this jewelry company called Tulip. And it was back in 2002.
Okay,
and it was like my first kind of, startup. It was just me. And then I folded like in a year and a half later because I couldn't, like, I wasn't generating enough. We had to move to Florida for my husband's job, and I flew up for meetings with like In Style and all this stuff. But we had this website. So it's funny that we kind of had a similar.
This is sort of similar. I love this.
But Daily Candy was like really big back then. Yes. So when were you featured on Daily Candy?
I think that was 2004, I want to say. Okay. Or 2005, but either one of those, I should know this. But in the article, they likened me to Maria from Sound of Music. It's like this very cute analogy of like taking down curtains and making skirts out of them, which is literally what I was doing. Yes,
kind of what you were doing, and kind of genius, because I totally would wear that right now, or pants.
Oh my gosh,
in that fabric. But okay, so what did you learn from that, and how long were you doing it?
So I did that for 2 years on the side, and then that's really what helped me go to Stanford, right? So I was like showing this entrepreneurial spirit and idea, but realizing I had no idea what I was doing, and I needed to learn this. And then, so I stopped after that. I didn't do them while in business school. And then that kind of just made me realize the power of the internet and being able to sell online. Again, like unit economics, like all the things that come full circle to what I'm doing today. Skirts are not really a recurring business. I mean, I guess you could buy a few of them, which we did have.
Well,
but,
I mean, CK Bradley or, all of those kind of existed kind of, I would say ribbon skirts more so than not.
Right.
But
Right. No, so also fun fact, I was on a call with our 3PL and the woman who leads our account was like, "You're Allison of Allison Ann?" And I was like, "Wait, you know Allison Ann? That was the skirt company." And she was like, "Yes. And my friend saw you and got so inspired and went to art school in California to do that." Like I was like, "That's amazing!" Like,
oh my gosh, that's seriously amazing. See, like there's so many things that just happen, and other people benefit from it, and you benefit from it in a different way, and others benefit from a different way. That's incredible. So what has been what's been the biggest challenge as you move forward in this, from as a female entrepreneur and a mom with 2 little kids? Like, what's been your biggest struggle, and how have you overcome that?
I mean, knock on wood, we haven't had too many struggles. It's been really actually pretty amazing, and it's been sort of a joy to work with the people I'm working with currently. I think the things that are going to be harder this coming year are just scaling and growing and hiring people and keeping that the like spirit of passion and excitement that we have, and this familial feeling with everybody, and just making sure we hire the right people, because your people are ultimately your most important asset. So I think that's going to be some of our challenges. I think the biggest challenge to date is really just around the education and getting people to understand that this is a category and this is a thing that actually can work, and is not sort of like pseudoscience and like snake oil. One thing that does worry me is as we see competitors come up and they don't have as great of ingredient list profile and not great products, I worry that people will take that and then it doesn't really work and say, oh, this gray hair is slowing down. Like, that's not really a thing. Repigmentation, that's not possible because it didn't work with this other company. So we really hope that people believe in what we're doing, see all the science behind it, see the reviews and the before and afters, and believe and try and keep it up. But yeah, it's really, it's also just, it's such a huge opportunity that it's just our job to educate people and inform, and not over-promise and under-deliver. We always want to under-promise and over-deliver. We're never saying like 100% repigmentation. Like, that's not possible. And so we're not saying that. And we hope that people don't expect that. But some people have experienced up to 80% repigmentation, but that's some people. That's not everybody. So, you have to give people realistic expectations for things.
When we didn't really touch on your shampoo, but the evolution of shampoo is pretty interesting. We've varied drastically over time, but what makes yours different?
Oh my gosh, I love our shampoo so much. It's like I could never find a shampoo I personally liked, and so I really made this sort of for myself, but then everybody else likes it likely. So it's all good. But we really approach it again more from like a skincare perspective. So it's a very gentle shampoo. It's really not meant to overstrip, which is a lot of current shampoos are very harsh. And they strip your hair of things, and then you have to over condition, and you'll find your hair develops more sebum and oils, and so you do have to wash it every day. Ours, you can wash it every day because it's that gentle, but you really shouldn't, and your hair is healthier, and you don't have to wash it every day. The scent I'm obsessed with. It's a natural fragrance. Scent? It's cedar sage. Oh. And so when I went to the scent house, I mean, this is why my job is so cool, and like, these are the moments where you're like, how is this my job? This is so cool. But I went to the scent.
I get paid to do this. Like, this is incredible.
This is amazing. Yeah. So I went to this guy and I was like, okay, I need you to create a scent that's nostalgic and it smells like nature. And he was like, I got it. I can do that. And I was like, wait, that's all you need? Like, you don't need any like actual ingredients? He's like, no, I got this. And it was the first fragrance that we made. We got it back, and it was universally loved by my kids liked it, my husband liked it, I liked it, Jay's clients liked it, and so the scent is amazing. It's very subtle. It's not meant to overpower. A lot of shampoos have just this like overwhelming scent that you
washed your hair today? Yeah, I did. You can smell me across the room.
Right. Like you walk by.
That you're exactly.
Yes. Yeah, but the shampoo does have our active ingredients as well. So you massage it in, you leave it on for 5 minutes so that your scalp can absorb it. We made this combination of the antioxidants and the peptides so that it was delivered to the scalp. So that's the key. You need to get it inside your scalp. And so it's this active ingredient, but it's just an enjoyable shampoo that leaves your hair cleaner, but also thicker, fuller, and softer. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of the shampoo.
Okay, well, I'll have to go order that one too.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Friends 20.
Hopefully next time you see me, it's gonna be like gorgeous Goldilocks.
No, but it's so great. I mean, my hair is so long. It's the longest it's ever been my entire life. It's crazy how just like better your hair is with all these products. It's not just about the gray. It's just about better hair too.
Okay. Questions on the fly. Podcasts or books?
Oh my gosh, books. Sorry. Oh, I should have said podcasts, but I'm just such a book
Oh no,
person.
I'm such a book person. Don't even worry
And physical
about
book. I have to have a physical, like not technology, Kindle book, real book.
So you know the problem with that for me is I totally agree with you. I'm so old fashioned in that way, but two things, when I would read at night, I would fall asleep. And it was really hard for me to hold the book up because I was so tired, which is pathetic. And then the other thing that would happen is like when I travel all the time for business, I'm a big book reader in which I read like 3 or 4 books at the same time, which honestly is really, it's hard to remember anything. And then you end up reading all of them and then realize you don't remember anything of what you just read. No, but I felt that I couldn't pack 2 or 3 books at a time, right? Like with my computer. So I got the Kindle and I swear to God, it's upped my reading game in like a very big way.
Yeah.
But I do miss old books, like just nostalgic, old school.
I know. Yes. I actually get all my books from the library still.
I'm such a library nerd.
Oh my gosh. I love the library and the kids love the
Do
library.
you go work sometimes? I go work there sometimes.
No,
I don't go to the office. I just go.
That's smart. Yeah,
it's nice.
I know that my home office is getting a little bit tedious these days after so many years of working at home.
You should try the library. It's actually it's a lovely experience. I've done so much like nice prep at the library. It's really nice. Okay, driving or flying?
Driving. I'm scared of flying, even though it's so irrational. I totally understand the statistics are so low of actually getting in a crash, but.
I'm the same way with you, 100%. Caffeine or caffeine-free?
Caffeine, but only one. I have one coffee a day, and then everything else is caffeine-free. It's water is essentially all I drink the other times.
I just started getting back into coffee, and I love the coffee. I feel like I really had a disadvantage of not drinking coffee for a while. But it is hard. It becomes kind of a pattern.
Yes. So my husband was my barista. That's how I met him.
No way.
In New York. So he makes my coffee to this day every morning, my cappuccino. So
oh my gosh, that is a kind of it's like religion. You have to keep doing that. Yeah. I would be a huge coffee drinker if my husband was a barista.
I know.
Although I would say he makes pretty good coffee, but at the same time, that's incredible. So you guys met, when did you meet? Just in New York City?
2008 in New York City,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Still married.
Serendipitous. You're still married.
He works right here. Like literally his chair's right here. This is all his equipment.
Oh, that's incredible. So what does he do? Is he involved in the company or?
No, he does reality TV. He does food shows, food cooking competition shows for Food Network mostly. Yeah.
Run or power walk?
Oh my God, power walk. And I am such an intense power walker. Like, people make fun of me about it. My husband's like, literally run. Like, what are you doing? You're going so fast.
Are you like this? Just
I'm like,
yeah.
And I live in the hills, so like I'm like basically running up hills, but not, because I'm like, I feel like that's like too straining on my knees, and like I'm like older, but it's intense. Look out.
Do you put what are those Bala rings? I see like in Bala. I kind of want to get a pair, but do you have those, and do you use them when you power walk?
Oh my gosh, I do have those, and Jay actually does the hair of the founders of Bala, so we know them pretty well.
No way.
Yeah.
Should I get a pair? Do they work?
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty great. And they're like cute looking, so you don't look silly with these weights on your hands and your ankles. No. Yes, they're amazing.
I grew up with my mom in the 80s, 90s who would do, you know, jazzercise. And it was like the sandbag weights around her ankles and wrists. Like with the Velcro.
Yes.
I mean, gosh.
Yes. Like
we've
those,
evolved, definitely.
Yes, thank God. Right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yoga or meditation?
Yoga. Yeah.
Netflix or Prime?
Oh my God. Like Prime, like, well, for, I don't know. Gosh, that's a tough one. I haven't been watching Netflix.
Well, Prime meaning like if you watch Amazon Prime.
No, okay, so Netflix. But Amazon Prime purchasing, I do a lot of that.
Out of control lately. My husband and I, we came up with it. We haven't done it yet, but we were like, we should just remove all access to Amazon on our phones, and our spend would be cut in like by 50%.
I try to like bulk order, so I have been trying to do that where I'm not just buying one or two items because it's just so bad for the environment.
Save your order and then have it shipped together. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. It's horrible. Regardless of all of its fun.
Right. But for streaming, I would say HBO Max is where I have now spending most of my time. That's where I find the best shows these days.
The best shows? Okay, I have not done that ever, so I need to. I feel like I am missing out. My friends are watching some HBO Max shows, and I'm like, oh, have you seen The Crown? Because I'm watching that for the 5th time this season.
It's a good show. It's a good show.
Okay, it is really good. I'm such like a historical fiction nerd. Okay, spirit animal. What is your spirit animal?
Oh my God. I have never been asked that, and I feel like my children would have such a good answer for this. I don't know. I mean, I've always had French bulldogs, so I feel like my spirit animal is a French bulldog.
You can say that. You can say that. I will accept that as an answer.
Okay.
Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Oh gosh, Harry Potter. I've never even read Lord of the Rings.
Oh, well, I haven't either, but I go by movies. The Harry Potter I've read, and I read a couple of Lord of the Rings, but not all of them. Operator or visionary?
Oh my God, can I say both?
You can say both. Some people have been saying both. It's hard.
Yeah.
Especially as a founder. Planet Earth or Mars?
Oh my God, planet Earth. Like, please. Get me off this like soapbox, but like what is with the obsession with like conquering Mars? Like, let's just make Earth better. How about we focus on that since we're all living here right now? What?
That's why I put it on here. And it is kind of amazing. Everyone's been saying, I don't think a single person said Mars. Oh, maybe one person said Mars, but everyone said planet Earth, which clearly it needs help. And we are the ones to help it. So we're not saying that we have a major problem.
Right.
Adventurer or hermit?
Oh, man. Again, I'm going to say a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Hermit, like since COVID, I've become like more hermity. It's so weird. It's like affected us all, I think.
I'm such a hermit. I love exploring and I'm adventurer at heart, but if someone asks me what I'm doing on the weekends, I'm like nothing. like in my house, like with my kids, like drinking tea. Like that's what I'm doing.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
It's really hard. Okay, thinker or doer?
Doer.
Rivian, Tesla, or an old Ford truck?
Oh my God, a Tesla. I mean, although I like now really questioning that given all that's been going on lately. But it's just such, my husband has one. It's just such a great car. So it's just good.
Okay. Sushi, steak, or salad?
Did you say sushi, steak, or salad?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm going to say sushi.
Morning bird or night owl?
Oh, morning. I'm in bed by 8 p.m. It's like a problem.
What time do you get up in the morning?
Like 5 a.m.
God, I like am in bed by 8 o'clock. I went to bed at 9 o'clock last night, but I literally, it's so bad. I mean, I could not get out of bed this morning. Like, I don't know what happened to me.
It's okay. That's your body telling you. You need to sleep.
I know. That's what everyone's saying. Just sleep. Okay. Ninja. Oh, I missed one. Spotify or Pandora?
Spotify.
Ninja or warrior?
I don't even. Like, are those two different things? I thought it was ninja warrior. Like, that's the show. Right?
Ninja is like stealth and kind of sly and quiet and just like attacks and get shit done. Where warrior is you like just go in with a hand grenade and like an axe.
I see. I would say ninja.
Ninja.
Yeah.
Introvert or extrovert?
If you had asked me 10 years ago, I would have been an extrovert, and these days I'm feeling more introvert. It's like, it changes. It's so wild.
You can be both. And
yes.
Apparently, I have not read this yet, but I need to start reading it because I keep talking about it. The zone of genius it talks also, I think, about your introvert extrovert situation. So I need to figure that out. Snow or rain?
Oh. Rain. I can't. I'm not good in the cold. That's why I live in LA.
Classical or rock?
Neither.
Oh, what do you like listening to?
Taylor Swift.
Oh, that's right. You're right. She's kind of like rock, I guess. Not really.
Pop.
She's new age rock pop.
Yeah.
The known or into the unknown?
I think into the unknown.
That's a good answer. I mean, you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What are you the most optimistic about and hopeful about? And where can our listeners support you and viewers? Where can they support you? Where can they follow you? Yes.
Well, areygray.com is our website, and that's all our handles too, of course. That's where you check us out. Follow us on social. And then the future is really the future generation. I think seeing my kids, just the stuff that they come up with and the questions they have and the things they're exposed to and the conversations we have just gives me so much hope for the future. I mean, when I did have kids, I was worried because I was like, is this a world I want to bring other life into? Like, it just feels kind of scary and doomsday-ish a bit.
Yeah.
But then I see my kids and it's just incredible. And like, I have two very different children. They're like completely different humans from each other. And it's so remarkable to me that the same DNA can create such different little people. But yeah, I'm like excited about the future generation. And I hope we can help contribute to that too with what we're doing of like a better alternative to the things that exist already in the world. There's got to be better options.